Welcome again to our channel, the African Presidential, where we say African greatness and greatness to the world. Now, in this quick video, we're going to look at this title, very interesting title. Why Africa, or we could say the African Union, should give or appropriate free lands to African Americans, Afro Caribbean, which includes Jamaicans, Grenadians, etc., and also Afro Brazilians. Why we should be appropriated free lands in Africa. So before I go further in the video, I just want to give you a 360 degree, give you guys a 360 degree view of where I'm at. I'm here in Brooklyn, Canarsie. It's a mild, cool evening, nice temperature, about 65 degrees, and we're on location. And this is what the background looks like in a 360. Just giving you guys a 360 of my location before I go into this very interesting discussion. Right here we are in Brooklyn, New York. Very nice neighborhood. And we are going to go into this very interesting topic now. So, as normal, as our custom, before we go into our topic, we like to look at the facts because this is a very interesting video. So, what are the facts? We may ask, what are the facts? So the facts are that we know that way back in the 1500s, when the so-called explorers came into Africa, specifically the Portuguese, the British, and the French, they were allocated lands in Africa, and for the most part they got these lands for free, and they were able to use these lands to their advantage. We could look at the Gold Coast, which we now know as Ghana, and we know back in Ghana the Portuguese got free lands in Elmina, which they later used to build their so-called slave castle or dungeon, as some would like to call it. And then we know about the British, how they got land in Kenya from the local chiefs, and they also used these lands to their advantage economically, financially, and to the disadvantage of the Africans. And we know about the French. They got lands in Cameroon, and we could mention Gabon, and we could mention Angola, some part of Central Africa. And all of these so-called explorers, which were given these free lands, they only use it to their advantage, mainly for the so-called slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade. We know people was removed, and we know they gained financially from this. We also know further that at the Berlin Conference of 1838, they also partitioned and basically appropriate Africa to themselves without the consent of the local people. And there again they established boundaries in Africa, which later become colonies, and this was all to their advantage. Now, what do we know about us, who are descendants of the so-called Atlantic slave trade? Afro-Caribbeans, African Americans, and Afro-Brazilians. Basically, our ancestors gave all, and we could say they lost all. For example, I could mention even Jamaica, that even to this day, there are some people in Jamaica who are still suffering as a result of this unfair slave trade, or this unfair trade of these explorers getting land in Africa taking out people by force, enslaving them, and giving nothing in return. We know about that. African Americans share the same experience, Afro-Caribbeans, and also Afro-Brazilians. So those are the facts. Now, the question is, if these people who were foreigners or explorers, who were not native Africans, was able to get free land, where they went on to use to their own advantage, even to this day, is it unfair if we say that? Or we could say the elephant in the room is, why not give free lands now, seeing that Africa is rebuilding to the descendants of this slave trade who suffered as the result of and the action of these so-called explorers. So in concluding, we would like to return to Africa, of course, certainly. And we are ready to start returning. We know about the Ghana era of return. And we want to say shout out to Ghana, because Ghana has given some lands and is giving lands to those who are returning in the diaspora. But we know that Ghana is not the only country or the only location where people was taken from by force and was enslaved in the slave trade. So we know that Nigeria, we had the same experience in Badagry. We know that in Tanzania, Zanzibar, the same situation. So it is only fair to ask that when we come back to Africa, we should not be forced to start from zero with our funds. We should be able to start with land allocation. It could be a plot, it could be an acre. Whatever is awarded, we could use it to start our rebuilding process in Africa. Because it is not fair for us to come with our funds, and then the funds we come with, we have to use it to buy land, then put up a building and to start our journey in Africa. It would only be fair that when we come with our funds from the diaspora, we can be able to start from the land that was allocated to us. This would also help to ensure that when we come there, we have something to work with, so that our process of recycling from the West into Africa would be much easier, and we could say be far more productive. And that's it. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment, and let we know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video as we advance our African greatness.